Yes, indeed. This is going to be an important one. So let's talk to one of the users, or rather the impactors of this particular GST rate cut. Deepak Asher, non-executive director at Inox Leisure, joins us on the show right now. Deepak, hi, morning. Good to have you on the show. The fact that the GST rate cuts on movie tickets will now be beneficial for the entire film value chain. How beneficial will it be for the industry in 2019 based on the representation made to the government in earlier discussions? Now that movie tickets which are of the value 100 rupees and above, and the GST rate getting slashed on them?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. We are extremely happy that this step has been taken. We have been trying to persuade the government to reduce the entertainment tax for the GST rate now on cinema tickets for quite some time. To start with, we believe that this sector was unfairly treated in as much as we were put in the highest GST tax bracket of 28%, which we thought was reserved for things like luxuries or vices or sins. But we don't think cinema is a luxury or a vice or a sin. We believe it's a social necessity. Cinema, for most of the population of the country, is the primary form of entertainment, if not the only form of entertainment. There are about 3 billion tickets sold in India annually, and to deprive those people of opportunities of watching movies at reasonable rates, we thought was unfair. And therefore, we were actually requesting the government to reduce the rates of GST to much lower than even 18%. But having said that, we appreciate that there are revenue constraints as well that the government needs to deal with. And hence, we are at least happy that it came down to 18% for tickets priced more than 100 rupees.
But Deepak, obviously, my next obvious question is, how soon can you pass on this GST rate cut benefit to the consumers?
Well, the intent is to do it as soon as it is effective. I'm told the rate cuts are going to be effective from the 1st of January. So obviously from 1st of January, you will see ticket prices being taxed at 18%, and hence the benefit will be passed on to the consumer. We don't think that's a negative for us. We do believe that with lower ticket prices, more people will start seeing movies more often, and hence we expect to see improvements in footfalls in our multiplexes and cinema theaters. We expect occupancies to go up, which will improve the overall viability of the film exhibition sector, and which hopefully should lead to much higher investments in the exhibition infrastructure. And therefore, we also do not subscribe to the theory that this rate cut would lead to a revenue loss. In fact, we believe that in the medium and long term, the revenues from the film sector would actually be higher as supported by this rate cut.
Okay, but besides the pass-on of GST rate cut benefit to cinema goers, will you also see any competitive tactics in the ticket pricing strategy that the industry as such may actually adopt? And are you chalking out something?
Well, I don't think there's going to be any competitive dynamics playing out because of this, because, frankly, the competitive scenario does not change because of this rate cut. If there is any competition, and obviously there is, because there are several players in the market that exists even today. So I don't see any reason as to why this GST rate cut would increase or, make an incremental competitive impact on the business. It will remain as it is.
Okay, fair point. Just give me a little bit of color, Deepak, as to how this festive quarter has been in terms of collections and the average ticket pricing as compared to the corresponding quarter. And has the response to big ticket releases been up to your estimates, as trade analysts say otherwise?
Well, if you talk to a cinema owner, he would always say that it could have been better. Some of the movies have not done as well as was expected. But on the other hand, some of the smaller movies have done much better than what was expected. So all in all, I would say it's been a fairly good quarter, though, there were misses and there were hits. But I think, in a sense, they kind of balance out each other.
I have to ask you this, Deepak. Is the past issue of seemingly high food prices and beverage prices in movie theatres resolved properly? And is outside food now going to be allowed in multiplexes going forward? Or do you think there's still some confusion on that?
Well, there is no confusion, though I do believe a lot of people don't know what the real facts are. The matter is now before the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has stayed all the proceedings before the different high courts. And as you might know, there were 7 different high courts that were hearing this matter. One of them, only one of them, had allowed the plea of the petitioner to let outside food inside. 4 of them had not permitted that. And in 2 other high courts, it was still pending. So we thought instead of fighting these battles at several different places, it might be appropriate that it is dealt with in the apex court of India, which is the Supreme Court. So the matter now is before the Supreme Court. So we'll obviously, all of us will need to abide by whatever decision the Supreme Court takes.
Okay, Deepak, good speaking with you, and I only ask because, some worry that now that GST rate cut has been implemented on tickets, maybe, multiplexes will try and bridge the revenue gap by actually upping food prices even further.